Ladies and gentlemen, let us go ahead and talk about Pantheon and how you can kick its ass, at least the Atraks Sovereign one for this week. Most important things to note are going to be the modifiers. You have Void Surge, Strand Surge, and then Class Warfare. This modifier will proc whenever anybody in your fire team in your near vicinity uses their class ability, and it will buff your damage, not just weapon damage, including ability damage, and it will give you a little bit of damage reduction on top of the damage boost as well. And at max stacks, which I think is either 3 or 4, you will receive a 20% damage buff. And yes, that'll stack with your surge mods, radiant, well, and the activity surge modifiers as well. So before damage phase, make sure some people in your fire team are using their class ability. That's free damage you're not going to want to miss out on. And since we have Strand and Void Surge, it is time to bust out either your God Roll Cataphract or your God Roll Edge Transit. Either will do, but definitely bring one of these two bait and switch GLs. They're getting a free damage buff from the surge mods. You don't want to miss out on that. And to be honest, the Void and Strand rockets at the moment, they're lacking in terms of boss DPS. You'll be using these 3 GLs as the main part of your damage for 3 of the 4 encounters. Let's talk about these encounters. We'll first talk about Golgoroth, which is pretty free, pretty easy. The only changes they did to this encounter was add a Hive Ogre that comes out of one of the 2 doors in the beginning, all the way in the back, and then on the closer doors, 2 major knights will rise. They are kind of squishy. However, you can totally ignore the knights if you want to and only focus on getting the ogre down. The bubble will spawn shortly after. And yes, those wizards that get stuck behind the doors are still here. They never changed how the doors work in this encounter. Make sure those wizards come out, eliminate them, eliminate the ogre. And if you want to eliminate the knights beforehand or after damage, do whatever your fire team is most comfortable with. But I want to let you know that you can totally use a cenotaph on these knights and the ogre to make ammo for your fire team if you need it. And then when you get to the Taken phase, there will be Taken ogres that spawn along with a Taken wizard that spawns. You can also use that wizard to make ammo with your cenotaph. The knights will continue to spawn, but the Taken ogres can be very annoying because their eye blast will literally just push you back. Think of that Warlord's Ruin ogre boss. He can be very annoying. All of the Taken ogres inside of Pantheon do the same thing. Just a fair heads up. But in terms of doing your damage, honestly, you have plenty of options in terms of how you want to execute it. If you want to rotate shooting down orbs, having 2 gaze holders, feel free. Or if you want to be a 1 bubble beast, you can totally make do with that as well. Just keep in mind that 2 players in your fire team will get the unstable light buff. So just make sure you guys run to the opposite side of Golgoroth and you guys will each hit him for a huge chunk damage. It does like 666,000. So both you guys hit Golgoroth with that, you're doing a free 1.2 mil and we'll happily take that. I would say Golgi gives you the most amount of freedom. It's a very chill, great ammo economy, not too chaotic, and you have a lot of options in which you can go ahead and execute your damage. Although I would still recommend highly that you guys just use an Edge Transit or a Cataphract, as those will be the most consistent, the easiest to do damage to Golgoroth on. As if you didn't know, you can deal damage to Golgoroth even without his crit spot being there with explosives types of damage. Think of grenade launchers and rockets. Some food for thought. Golgoroth is very easy. And yes, you can use Banner of War if you want to as well. If you're wondering what type of team composition you should bring, whatever everybody is most comfortable with. Of course, some warlocks will be useful as well, but whatever everybody is most comfortable with. Now let's go ahead and talk about Caretaker. Caretaker be a little chaotic, okay? If you are running, bro, they put bees inside of the rooms and they just kind of spawn out of thin air. They could spawn right in front of you as you're running and you'll get hit by it, resulting in increased pervading darkness stacks, which we obviously don't want. So if you are running, I highly recommend that you have a sword on. So ideally, you would want your runners to probably be something like a hunter, or if you have a Giga Chad Banner of War Titan in there, he could be a runner as well. Warlocks could, but since raid mods don't work in Pantheon, your Into the Light solar grenades from Sunbracers aren't going to do nearly as much damage as they would in the normal Caretaker encounter. So just some food for thought there. And I would say a really good weapon to have while you're running is easily a mountaintop with sticky grenades. This will allow you to open the door from the inside, as the delayed detonation from the sticky grenade itself will open the door for you, so you don't have to have one of your teammates on the outside open the door for you. You can have your mountaintop do it for you in the background. Another really good weapon inside of this encounter is Risk Runner. There is so much enemies in here that do arc damage. That includes Caretaker. That includes almost all of the Taken that spawn in here. And yes, there are going to be Taken Ogres that spawn on each floor consistently, along with the Taken Vandal Snipers. Both of them are very, very annoying, but the Ogre's going to be really annoying for anybody who's doing stun duty if those Ogres aren't under control, and the Snipers just hit for a pretty damn good chunk of your health bar, and you don't want them sniping you when you're trying to worry about something else. I would say the second floor is the most chaotic, but if you're able to lock down the Ogres, as they do spawn on each side of the room, the left and the right side, and your stuns are on point, you should be relatively okay. If you have to have somebody else go quickly inside to get some symbols so your main runners are having their pervading the darkness stacks go down, go ahead. It can definitely be chaotic, and something that is definitely worth mentioning is that Bungie thought it would be funny to add some Taken Centurions and Taken Phalanxes at the top of each of the staircases after you move on to the next floor. So keep that in mind, because they will boop you off if you aren't ready for it. And for your stun team, while they are dealing with Caretaker, Taken Phalanxes and Centurions are going to spawn where Caretaker started from on that floor, while your symbol team is running and getting symbols along with everything else that's spawning. Sunbracers are really good to deal with the ads here, but Risk Runner is going to be very helpful in keeping you alive. Do not sleep on Risk Runner for this encounter. Honestly, if everybody in your fire team could run it, you guys could really clear out ads in here very, very fast with the Arc Conductor perk that the Risk Runner provides you, along with the extra DR that it gives you from arc damage. For damage, Cataphract or Edge Transit are going to be your best bet. However, keep in mind, the bees that Caretaker spews out will fly straight to you, and your grenade launcher can hit them and blow you up in the process. It's very annoying, very frustrating, so just be wary of that. And for your runners who have an Eager Edge Sword on, they're a hunter. Easiest solution, bros, Lucky Pants and a hand cannon, preferably Malfeasance or Warden's Law. Combine that with the Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun on the last plate, you will cook. Remember, you want to dump a good chunk on that first plate, kind of tickle him just a little bit with your primary weapons and specials on the second plate. Do not push him through the threshold, and then on the third plate, that's when you dump your one-off supers and some more of your heavy. As if you didn't know, on that third plate, your supers will do more damage. So just keep that in mind. You execute that, you can still 2-floor Caretaker. Final Stand can have to be a little bit more chaotic just because he is spewing so many bees at you. But if you are able to get past Caretaker, you got past the most chaotic one for sure. Now we have Explicicator, our planet boss. The differences here are minuscule, but very notable. The smallest change that they did was that they added an incinerator on the left and right middle platforms in between the plates. He has a void overshield, be wary of that. The Colossus that you have to defeat in order to get your planet buffs will now have arc shields, keep that in mind. After the planet index have revealed themselves, aka after you have moved the correct 4 planets, a Tormentor will spawn. Luckily, this Tormentor that spawns is a bit of a pushover in the fact that you can suspend him, blind him, debuff him in any sort of way you want to, and you can finish him. If you have a Banner of War Titan in your fire team, they can use their Blade Fury super and completely dispose of this Tormentor with no effort. Easy no diff with Blade Fury, as you just suspend and just wail on him with your melee. Or if you do the mechanics quick enough, the Tormentor will actually just despawn once the damage actually starts. So you have a lot of options here. Now, the most annoying change that they added was the fact that now the boss will spawn these fire tornadoes on the 4 plates. These tornadoes play no games. And this is the first week. We're only at -5 here. So imagine in future weeks when you're even further under power. These fire tornadoes will absolutely cook you. Like if you aren't paying attention and you get caught in one, you're rip. They go around the rim of the platform, but they will not leave the platform. So if you want to get in one of the little middle spots in between the plates on each side, you could do that. Or if you're on one of the lower plates, just get out of dodge. Get off of it. Get out of there. The fire tornadoes will definitely catch you if you aren't paying attention, and it's definitely the most annoying change in this fight. The Tormentor can be very easily dealt with if you can suspend them, and the incinerators aren't too bad. Damage still goes the same exact way as it does in the raid, but unlike like in the Caretaker encounter, you can actually use raid mods here. It's only Caretaker where raid mods aren't allowed. So if you want to use Focus Darkness for extra ability damage or Focus Light for extra weapon damage for this encounter, feel free to go ahead. And if you don't have any of the Root of Nightmares raid mods, don't worry. That's why we have Class Warfare and built-in Strain and Void Surge. Bust out those bait and switch Cataphracts and Edge Transits and go to work. To get Platinum tier for this, you basically got to get 2 perfect damage phases, but it's really not that bad. The biggest thing here really is just those fire tornadoes, and the Tormentor can be a little bit annoying if you have not a full fire team. But if you've already cleared Caretaker, your fire team is easily going to take care of Explicicator, and that only leaves us with 1 boss left, at least for the time being. Okay, so now we have Atraks, which is pretty free. You made it this far, you're gonna clown on this guy. So, important changes. Well, a Tormentor is going to spawn before damage. I want to say it's when, whether it's bottom or top, eliminates all 3 servitors, but it's going to happen sometime around when the servitors come out and before damage. Now, this week, if it spawns down below on the bottom floor, you can completely ignore it because we are still able to completely nuke this boss in 1 instance. However, for future weeks, dealing with this Tormentor, you can still just blind them, suspend them. If you have a Lucky Pants Hunter in your fire team, that'll cook them, or, you know, just a sniper rifle, some sort of precision-based weapon to deal with the Tormentor. Blade Fury as well, so it'll completely ruin him as well. But other than that, there's really no insane changes here. There's no extra taken or anything like that. It's mainly just the Tormentor. Operator still spawns on the bottom. Scanner still spawns up top. The final stand is still gonna happen on the top floor. Although I will say that the Operator and Scanner Vandals, I believe, are now majors. They're a little bit chunkier than in the normal Atraks encounter in the actual Deepstone Crypt raid. So for this week, in order to cook this boss in an instance, you're going to want to use 1-off supers and then Parasite. That's right, nothing has changed here, at least for the time being, as if you get everybody in your fire team with a ×20 Parasite shot and 1-off supers going out on the first instance you do damage, you will do all of the damage needed to push into final stand. Of course, make sure you swap over to some Solar Surges real quick to boost your Parasite damage even more. If you're on a Warlock, I would just recommend Nova Bomb. Hunters can use Blade Barrage, and Titans can use Curus Thunder Crash. Combine any of those with Parasite, this boss is going to final stand. And then once final stands happens, what I like to do is just hot swap to Lament, especially nowadays since Parasite got a huge bump in its reserves. You'll have even more Lament ammo for final stand, and final stand will be a breeze with Lament, literally the easiest boss in this entire Pantheon this week. Another weapon that's really good in just dealing with the adds before damage, literally all of them, is the Indebted Kindness. That rocket pistol sidearm is just so darn good. You can still use Rick rounds to shoot off the Atraks replication off of your head if you need to, and overall, Atraks is free. The emblem you get from this looked really cool, and the loot you get, man, it rains loot in here. You'll be blessed with spoils, loot from all types of raids, not just the raid that the encounter is from, and it's definitely worth doing if you are able to do so. And I hope this video helps you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on Pantheon down below in the comments. Remember, if you want to get your games in DLC for a cheaper price, you hit up Instant Gaming. Top link in the description. You guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Take care, be safe, consider subscribing, and I'll see your beautiful faces in the next one. Adios.